was so cool.
New York, but I don't care if you're from Chicago. I don't care if you're from the Los Angeles area. None of those metropolitan areas will prepare you for the level of fuckery that is rush hour in the Dallas metropolitan area. You are not ready. Don't do it. Okay? From your house for not paying your M&M taxes. So I pick him up, right? Pretend I'm like holding him in my hand here, and I will go, and then like precisely 38 seconds later, I would let out the greatest burp ever recorded in history. Want to go to Six Flags Amusement Park and go on the big roller coaster and eat a big corn dog and eat a big churro?
Look,
said Amy.
cute couples can get in free.
Oh, then we gotta pay.
What are we waiting for?
Amy, wait! I give up. She's so weird.
Bro, you are blue. You have no room to talk. I was in prison too after being grabbed by a big green robot. Oh. Don't worry, this red robot with a gun will save us. Red robots with guns do not believe in prison. They wrote that. They wrote that in Of Mice and Men, I think. Page 12. It says in big bold letterface, robots with red paint on them
What do you want?
do not believe in prison. Ravenous gnomes. Has that ever happened to you? If I had a nickel for every time it happened to me, I'd have 0 nickels. Because it hasn't happened to me. Believe it or not, I have never ever watched a fellow hiker walk a little off the trail and immediately get brutally torn apart by a swarm of ravenous gnomes. That's never happened to me. I'm literally removing devices right now. And it's connected? Yeah, it's connected. Okay, cool. Let me queue up the game. And then do my little fiddling around like with OBS to make sure that you can see it. Because that's important. You need to be able to see the game that we're playing in order to like have a good time here. Otherwise, you just have to pretend that there's stuff here. Please and thank you. Ooh.
No, no.
This rapture needs a hero.
You saved me.
Sorry, I believe your line was, "You saved me."
I heard that.
You did? Will you hear this? What about this? I think he heard all that. Wait, there was a forward smash? Wait, what? Oh! Oh, how can I forget? Oh.
Say what?
Was that allowed on Twitch?
I don't. Actually, I don't.
I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that like, oh, the average person like really liking The Office and talking about it a lot. I'm not gonna pretend like that makes it a bad show. But at the same time, I'm not gonna sit around and tell you that it's the greatest like sitcom ever made, because it just simply isn't. That title goes to The Annoying Orange Show on Cartoon Network. He's sauntering. He's throwing it back. I mean, what? Who the hell would say something like that about the red M&M? You can only take so much of a good thing before you start to feel sick in your stomach. It's like mustard. It's kind of like mustard. Shall we dance? Never mind, this game is ass. I mean, I love this game. I love video games of all shapes, size, and content, and platform, and whatever it is. Melt Rayman out, right? God damn! my god. Oh my god. He's dead. My boy is dead. I've abandoned my child. Man, Kingdom Valley's looking a lot more lively these days.
Kingdom Valley's looking a lot more like Sand Valley right now.
Yeah?
I'm sorry. Because
I'm dying immediately.
you know I was kidding when I said that. It's like, yeah, I wish more games talked to me too. They check up on me and I wonder every once in a while, hey buddy, how you holding up? Like,
Oh, I'm doing okay, but I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to do. And then Sonic Adventure just like stares at me.
have you tried sucking less? Stupid.
Oh, why didn't I think of that? And I spent like $5,000 on my dear gaming PC, and I don't care if anyone on like console or with like a less expensive machine can't run the game because I want it.
Exactly. I just wanted to show off a cool thing.
Oh, it
Well,
was
you are
very
right,
cool.
though.
I'm just making fun of people on Twitter.com.
Yeah.
Well, you see, Kyle, this is not sex. This is corpse party. Escape. No, you did not just fucking burger me. This did not just happen. If it does not end up on my Twitch clips, I'm going to be so upset. I'm going to be so... Play Persona 4 now.
Why? What happened?
No, you don't. No, you don't, Steve. You don't have to play Persona. You would never have to do something so terrible and abhorrent and bad for your health. You get to do something far greater instead. You get to pretend there's stuff here, please and thank you. Holy shit. Holy shit. Chat, holy shit. That's... Oh my god. That's a sub 2 hour burger. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what Lil Yachty tastes like. Well, you see, Kyle, this is not sex. This is if you had told me 5 years ago, roughly 5 years ago, no, this was way more than 7 years ago, that animation in a Sonic game would look this good after coming right off the tails of Sonic Forces, I would tell you to get the hell out of my house. How did you get in here? Who are you? Please leave. It's very antithetical to the typical design aesthetic for Splatoon. I very much enjoy it. Who? Who's this? They put Pearl in a robot? Get her out of there. She does not go in a damn robot. Get her out of that robot right now. Yep. Yep. Yeah. You.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I'm not afraid to say it. I like Ian Flynn's writing. I think it's really cool that after years and years of just ignoring canon, that we have like actual continuity in the series. And I think the rewrites are very smart and cool.
Oh, hey, Sonic. And what even caused the darkest day? Long time no see. It was me. I did it. Thanks for letting me bounce some ideas off you. I think I've got some theories now. Into the camera. I'm gonna research the tapestry a tad more. You have your gym challenge, right? I'll be cheering for you, so take a couple of these. Did this mod add Steve from Blue's Clues before he went to college? No. Oh, hey, Sonic.
Oh, Sonic,
Long time no see.
my hero. Sonic!
Why did she just look directly into the camera? That's my fucking job.
I haven't been paying attention. Who's Shadow? Is that him?
Yellow M&M, kinda. Let him live, please. Oh man, I want more. I want more Sunset Heights.
Yeah.
If you told me in 2017 that that's something I was going to say, I would have I would have one called you a big fat liar, and I two would have asked how the hell you got in my house. Please leave my house.
Hey, Tails.
What if I modded Steve from Blue's Clues into Fortnite? That would be like spitting in my mouth and like saying you're no good and won't amount to anything and like stealing all my earthly possessions. It would be like the worst insult you could ever do to my character. I swore a solemn oath, and no one tampers with that. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Kirk. That's the way it is. Jeff. He's what? Jeff Kaplan is dead? No, that's not real. That's not real. You're trolling me. You're trolling me. Hello? Okay. I forgot to reassign these audio devices. But yeah. I guess Stream Elements overlays either has hit it really well or just doesn't have multi-chat available to put in the overlay. So I guess points at chat, but I guess that's just gonna be Twitch until I figure out how to do more than that. Okay. But that's not important. That's not important. What is important is YouTube, I'm talking to you. There's over 1,000 of you now. What happened? How did you all get here? Hang on, I gotta take a sip for that one. Yeah, like, so a deal's a deal, I guess. Hang on, I had to hit the start recording button. I had to hit the button that happens when you start recording. YouTube, don't worry. I can still read your chat over here. It's just I can't put it in the box yet. I can't put it in the box. Okay. So, a deal's a deal. I said in one of my previous streams, was probably the last one because I don't remember if I've streamed since then, that when we hit 1,000 on YouTube, I would talk about the fabled True Undertale timeline. I am the last great Undertale historian. And today, I'm finally going to impart my knowledge. I'm not 100% sure whether I want to answer questions as I give the presentation or afterwards. I am definitely going to keep streaming after we've finished talking about the True Undertale timeline here today. But let me just pull up my speaker notes. Here we go. My speaker notes. Oh boy. Okay. It's time. It's time to talk about the true Undertale timeline. I am not the first great Undertale historian, but I will probably be the last. I cannot imagine a world in which anyone wants to take up this responsibility of upholding Undertale history. I can't imagine a world where someone wants to take that job. I can't imagine it. Okay. So let's get started. Believe it or not, though, Undertale is not the first piece of the timeline. The timeline starts long, long before Undertale. Hundreds of thousands of years, in fact. And it doesn't start on Earth. It doesn't start on Mount Ebba. It starts on a planet far, far away in the cosmos called Spherus Magna. And the inciting incident, the event that causes the entire timeline to kickstart, is an event on Spherus Magna called the Shattering. Now, what the Shattering was, there was a special substance in the core of the planet of Spherus Magna called energized protodermis. And just like us humans, when the people of Spherus Magna found that there was a substance inside the Earth that they could use as an energy source, they started a war about it. And it raged across the surface, and tensions got so high that the planet split into 3 celestial bodies. It split into the jungle moon of Bota Magna, the ocean world of Aqua Magna, and the desert planet Barra Magna. This was not good for the people of Barra Magna, the people left on the planet. Everything dried up, resources became scarce, and the people thought, well, gee, we've got to do something about this. So they built a giant robot. They decided to build a giant robot, and not only did they decide to build a giant robot, they decided to create entire species and ecosystems of people to go inside the robot and make sure that it works. Hang on, next slide, please. The Great Betrayal. So this robot went off into the cosmos, gathered data on all sorts of star systems and space, and then it finally started coming back home. It started coming back home to achieve what it was meant to do the whole time, to take that data and apply it to the planet, hopefully bring Spherus Magna back into one cohesive whole. Unfortunately, what the people who created the robot did not quite foresee is that the sentient forms of life that would call it home would evolve. They would create systems of belief. And one of the main species inside of this robot, the Matoran, sort of deified the consciousness that controlled the robot. The Great Spirit Matanui, they called it. Now, another species inside this robot, the one really tasked with making sure everyone stays safe, everything gets done in an orderly manner, called the Brotherhood of Makuta, they kind of got tired of their efforts being overlooked, minimized, all to praise the Great Spirit Matanui. So one of these Makuta, the Makuta of Metronui, which was the main city inside this robot, got tired of it. He was mad. He wanted the glory. He wanted the respect that he thought he deserved, so he attempted to usurp the throne of the Great Spirit. He sent the Great Spirit into a great slumber, and that sent the entire robot crashing into the ocean moon of Aqua Magna. Moving way forward in history and moving all the way over to planet Earth, the First Great Gem War occurs. Yes, conflict can happen in more than one place at a time. Events can happen in more than one place at a time in the true Undertale timeline. The Great Gem War takes place on Earth. Rose Quartz and the Crystal Gems attempt to and succeed in overthrowing the Diamond Authority control over Earth, at least for the time being. Many casualties take place, and at the end, only a small number of the Crystal Gems and Rose Quartz are left standing on Earth. And for a time at least, peace is achieved. Going way forward again, another thousands and thousands of years, in an elementary school in Japan, a tragedy occurs. The school nurse and her daughter are killed by the principal. And the daughter in specific was so filled with rage, understandably so, at such an atrocity being committed, that a broken piece of code sort of latched onto her and allowed a nexus space, a pocket dimension, to form. More on that later. Then we have Mother, Undertale -5, the events of the first in the Earthbound trilogy. Mother takes place. Then we have the Sonic series, Undertale -4. Specifically, the events of the entire series leading up to Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. They take place not on Earth, on planet Mobius. The events start roughly around where the last entry, Mother, ends, and it goes up until the last battalion returns in 1998. A little more on that later. Next, though, moving back to planet Earth, the year is 1983, and we have a trilogy of the FNAF games, 3 of them in specific: FNAF 4, FNAF 2, and then FNAF 1 in that order. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza happens as a sort of subsidiary sister location that was spawned because of the success of Fredbear's Family Diner. Unfortunately, the bite of 83 occurs. Fredbear's Family Diner shuts down. A bunch more murders happen at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. That location gets shut down. It comes back and then gets shut down again because of poor sales and poor press. Then we have Undertale -2, Earthbound. You know it. You love it. Spawned an entire genre of JRPGs, Earthbound. The events of Earthbound take place. Gygus is defeated? So, one of the most central concepts that makes the true Undertale timeline work is the concept of resets that really manifest because of broken code that spawns in the timeline. This is the origin point of that broken code. Because simultaneously, the events of Sonic 06 are happening, and a new form of life has been created in the underground beneath Mount Ebot on planet Earth. The remains of a fusion between a monster and a human, the dust after they have died, falls onto a flower. The two combine and gain the will to live. A strange power that can only be referred to as determination. Flowey, at this point in the timeline, has been alive for a little while. He's been talking to his technically father, Asgore. Things don't work out with Asgore, goes to Toriel. Things don't work out with Toriel. Now, how do I say this without, while not mincing words, but still being delicate? They have decided they have had enough. And they decide that, you know, I'm not living with emotions. Do I really want to go on like this? But at the very last moment, Flowey thinks, no, I want to persist. There's more to be done here. And at that moment, Flowey enacts the very first reset in the timeline. Now, at that very moment, the originator of the broken code, the appointed god of space and time, Solaris, on planet Mobius, is defeated. The consciousness is gone, the body is broken, but that power, it has to go somewhere. It has to go somewhere. It can't just fizzle out. Matter is neither created nor destroyed, so too is Solaris's power. It has to go somewhere. This is where the broken code in the true Undertale timeline originated. It attempts to escape the fate of being defeated by Supersonic Shadow and Silver, and escaping the reset that is very close to happening, goes back in time and possesses Flowey the Flower right before they gained consciousness. Now, moving back to the present just a little bit, that moment when Flowey enacts the first reset, it happens at the very precise moment when Sonic the Hedgehog and Princess Elise sort of wiped out that little flame. And thus, the first reset of the timeline has occurred. The events of Sonic 06, technically both have happened and both have not happened. But that's not the only thing that happened because of this reset. You remember Spherus Magna? What we were talking about just at the very beginning here? Well, shifting focus back over to the planet of Spherus Magna, many wars have been waged between the people of the inside the Great Spirit robot and the Brotherhood of Makuta. Makuta Pterodax briefly took control of the robot, but was eventually defeated by the Great Spirit in a prototype robot suit. And then the Great Spirit Matanui got to fulfill his destiny by reuniting the three parts of the planet Spherus Magna. At this point, one would expect the story's over. The conflict has resolved, the bad guys have lost, the good guys have won, but events continue to unfold. Some of the great beings, the individuals responsible for creating the Great Spirit robot, are still out there. They still have to be sought, and one of them is vying to fill the power vacuum that has occurred because of the destruction of both Makuta Pterodax and the Great Spirit. And another one of the great beings has escaped from hundreds of thousands of years of imprisonment. Things are starting to occur. New events are starting to unfold, and then all of a sudden, everything stops. The entire planet and the surrounding roughly light year or two, to this day, are frozen in time because of the effects of Flowey's first reset. Time has stopped, space does not move. Let's hope that other celestial bodies do not get in the path of Spherus Magna, because they will not survive the incursion. So from this point on, Spherus Magna, nothing happens there. It is frozen in time. From this point in time when the reset happens, up until the timeline completely finishes. Nothing else happens here. And at last we have come to the last battalion. So here's the thing about the last battalion. I don't know what this means. I don't know what the last battalion is. I don't know what their return implicates. Very little. I've been able to find very little about this part of the timeline in my research. In fact, this wasn't even my finding. This was the finding of the previous Undertale historian. Hang on, I need a sip. I tried to pry as much information about this event when during the transfer of power, when I first became the last great Undertale historian, but I couldn't get much. He was very adamant that this happened, but wasn't able to divulge very much detail. The only information that I was able to find was that this act, the last battalion returning, caused an infamous German war criminal to invent canned bread. And he does this while trapped not next to Walt Disney, among, many other well-known historical figures, while trapped in the freezer of one of Doug Walker's very many vacation homes. We're still finding new vacation homes under Doug Walker's name. It's entirely possible that there's more than one Doug Walker out there buying these homes, but it's an alarming number. It's at least 4 digits. But yeah, other than that, I haven't been able to find out anything about what the Last Battalion is, or what their return was, or where, or it's... Maybe one day I'll be able to find it, but for right now, I'm stumped. Okay, back to stuff that I actually know. Undertale -1, Steven Universe. The events of the show and subsequent future take place. And one very interesting thing here. Steven's actions in the pilot episode Cookie Cat were directly responsible, although unknowing to anyone involved in those events. They caused the Chaos Emeralds to be transformed into the Chaos Cookies. Such a phenomenon has yet to be replicated, and I've been able to find much with the Last Battalion, very little to substantiate this evidence other than the fact that I can't find the emeralds, but I can find the cookies. This was another thing that the previous historian was very adamant about. Yes, Undertale 0, Corpse Party. Do you remember the Shinozaki family that we spoke about earlier? Well, this entry is a direct consequence of that. So one of the original holders of that damaged code that Flowey had, it's moved elsewhere since Flowey has held it. We'll get into that later. But as of this moment in the timeline, Sachiko Shinohara has it. And she has used it to create a pocket dimension to pretty much let out her rage and anger on unfortunate victims in the school-going population of Japan. She, in this act, has toyed with countless innocents, and this reign of terror lasted from the early 50s until her defeat at the hands of 5 students transported here in the last few months of 2008, if memory serves correct. Yeah, I think it was 2008 that Undertale 0 took place. The death of Steven. So 20 years after Spinel and the Injector came to Beach City, the events of the Steven Universe movie, for those who are not familiar, Steven Universe unfortunately passes away due to a terminal illness that has yet to be replicated in humanity, mainly caused by the instability of his genetic makeup. You know, if you combine like such raw magical power that a gem's, any gem, let alone a diamond, has with relatively not super resilient human DNA, some messed up stuff is going to happen. So yeah, he passes away because of this illness. And then 42 years after that, the Pink Diamond's gem, Steven's gem, sublimates and sort of fuses with his skeletal remains. The last sort of active fusion that Steven Universe undergoes. And his skeletal remains are reanimated by this instance. Unfortunately, most of Steven's memories are wiped as a result, and later elects to be called Sans the Skeleton. So, to put it another way, Sans 2 is an acronym. It stands for Steven After Not Surviving. Now we've finally reached Undertale. It's been a long way getting here, but we finally reached the pacifist route of Undertale. If you're an Undertale fan, you know what happens here. If you've seen the Undertale series here on the YouTube channel, you know what happens. 2 years after Sans the Skeleton emerges in the underground, the human child Frisk falls into the underground as well, kicking off the events of the pacifist route. But once the monsters leave the underground, the barrier has been broken, monsters are freed to roam the surface once more. Flowey the Flower goes missing. He has not been able to be found since. And 3 months later, the damaged code that was caused by the death of Solaris, it manifests into another being. So whatever has happened to Flowey after the events of Undertale, he either gave up the code or he has passed away. It manifests into a schoolgirl in Japan named Monica. And thus we have reached Undertale 2, Doki Doki Literature Club. I personally think Undertale 2 speaks for itself. Monica, thanks to this damaged code, gains sentience, or what she believes to be sentience, and some terrible exercising of the damaged code's power ensues on the rest of the literature club before eventually Monica chooses to give it up, relinquish the control, and sort of erase the events that happen here. Yeah, so here it is. Monica gives up control. Another sort of soft reset happens. All the players of Undertale 2 are brought back to the very beginning, and thus Undertale 2 Episode 2 starts. The mod Doki Doki Blue Skies. At least that's the closest representation to what we've observed happens at this point in the timeline. It's not 100%. Some scenes in this mod we haven't found happened in the timeline. Yeah, she fails to enact a full reset, but she's brought back from the void. She's spoken to an entity that to this day we haven't quite pinpointed who that is. Some of our researchers think it might be a player in a future point in the timeline. I'll briefly touch upon that when we get there. But at this point in the timeline, things start to get a little messy. A lot can go wrong in the events, and a lot of bad endings can commence. And a lot of them, key players in this part of the timeline, unfortunately pass away. But the timeline, in a cruel kind of way, has a method to resolve this. And all of these bad endings that stem from Undertale 2 Episode 2, I don't have it in the presentation because I can't exactly talk about its subject matter publicly online. But for those in the know, I will describe it as an infamous series of 2 match 3 puzzle games. Now, their significance to the timeline is that off of every single one of these bad endings, the nameless character that we've dubbed MC sort of goes into a catatonic state where they succumb to delusions and dreams and nightmares of a lot of their really abhorrent wants and natures manifesting themselves into a weird, twisted fantasy. And that's where I'll leave Undertale 2.1. Undertale 3, one shot. I have not yet gotten to research this part of the timeline yet, but all I know is this point in the timeline, this is where one shot happens. Similar story here for Cave Story. I have yet to research it fully, but this is the point in the timeline where Cave Story happens. Now, Undertale 5, is an interesting part in the timeline. The timeline hinges not in any events happening inside the timeline to influence like what Undertale 5 is. Instead, it depends on what part of the world you're observing the timeline from, if that makes sense. If you're in Japan, Undertale 5 is Mother 3. If you're in North America or Europe or anywhere else, Undertale 5 Episode 1 is Gravity Falls, the entire series. In Japan, however, this is Undertale 6 Episode 1. And then Undertale 6 Episode 2, or Undertale 5 Episode 2 in Japan, is Deltarune. Now, earlier, talking about Undertale 2 Episode 2, I mentioned a currently unknown identity. An unknown entity, rather, that Monica speaks to, and because of that conversation, chooses to relinquish her control over the damaged code. Some people believe that this entity is the same entity that speaks to the player at the beginning of Deltarune. We have yet to confirm who this person is, but a lot of popular theories are pointing to the late Dr. Wingding Gaster. A lot of stuff happens between Deltarune and here. A lot of the timeline has yet to be filled. This is a very active process uncovering the timeline. But what we know for certain is that the very end of the timeline is Minecraft. And the reason that we know this is that at a minimum, several thousand millennia happening after Deltarune, the death of the Ender Dragon causes an event horizon of sorts to occur in the branching timelines. Ender Dragon dies. All the branches of the timeline sort of converge on that point, and nothing really goes past that. No more events happen concurrently or after this event in the true Undertale timeline. And that's what I've got. That is the true Undertale timeline. Not bad, huh? Not bad. Now, I will be right back. I have to get more water. But when I return, I'm going to be doing some shiny hunting, and I will be gauging questions about today's presentation from you, the dear viewer. So I will be right back. What's up? Oh, I know. I know you're the most cunning scientific genius in the world. A master plan, you say? I sure do hope it doesn't mean buying every cheeseburger on planet Earth so that I can't have any, because that would really piss me off. Why can't Dr. Robotnik be in Smash? Because Sakurai's a coward and is too busy hating while... Yeah, I'm all sweaty. It's very antithetical to the typical design aesthetic for Splatoon. I very much enjoy it. Who? Who's this? They put Pearl in a robot? Get her out of there. She does not go in a damn robot. Get her out of that robot right now. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Kirk. That's the way it is. Jeff. He's what? Jeff Kaplan is dead? No, that's not real. That's not real. You're trolling me. You're trolling me. That's not real. Oh, hey, Sonic.
Oh, Sonic!
Long time no see.
My hero! Sonic!
If I die, I will be mailing something to my house? I sure do hope it is not an illicit substance that will cause me great harm and misfortune. Like mustard. Man, Kingdom Valley's looking a lot more lively these days.
Kingdom Valley's looking a lot more like Sand Valley right now.
Yeah?
I'm sorry. Because
Holy shit. Holy shit. Chat, holy shit. That's, oh my god. That's a sub 2-hour burger. Well, you see, Kyle, this is not sex. This is corpse party. From your house for not paying your M&M taxes. So I pick him up, right? Pretend I'm like holding him in my hand here, and I'll go. And then like precisely 38 seconds later, I would let out the greatest burp ever recorded in history. Maybe if you're, I don't know. I've never been to New York, but I don't care if you're from Chicago. I don't care if you're from the Los Angeles area. None of those metropolitan areas will prepare you for the level of fuckery that is rush hour in the Dallas metropolitan area. You are not ready. Don't do it. Okay? Escape. No! You did not just fucking burger me. This did not just happen. If it does not end up on my Twitch clips, I'm going to be so upset. I'm gonna be so.
Want to go to Six Flags Amusement Park and go on the big roller coaster and eat a big corn dog and eat a big churro?
Said Amy.
Cute couples can get in free.
Oh, then we gotta pay.
What are we waiting for?
Amy, wait! I give up. She's so weird.
Bro, you are blue. You have no room to talk.
yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And we're back. Dino Burger, so this is going to be about Undertale, right? We are just watching clips while we wait for him to come back. Yes and no. You were watching clips while you waited for me to come back, but unfortunately, the presentation just ended. However, I will be answering questions about the true Undertale timeline. And mind you, for those of you who missed the presentation, it goes a lot deeper than just Undertale. Believe you me. Okay, I just have to get my stuff set up. I have to get my stuff set up. For the rest of the stream, I'm gonna be doing shiny hunting for Latios in Pokemon Sword and Shield, while answering any questions about the true Undertale timeline that anyone in chat may have. First, I should probably adjust the crop on my shiny hunt tracker. Bear with me for a minute. Definitely want it up a little bit. Like right there. Let's call it 30, and then we'll put it here as well. Oh, you can rewind on YouTube. That's why they call it YouTube Rewind, Steve. God. I'm learning all sorts of new things today. Okay. Let's try. Well, how does 400 look? Okay, too much. Oh, to clarify, I will also be polishing up some of today's stream into comprehensive video later on down the line. It's probably going to be a while before that comes out. I've got a lot of stuff in the backlog already. Oh, geez, like what, Steve? You ever hear of Black Mesa before? You ever been to Black Mesa? No, Steve, we haven't been to Black Mesa before. Well, you better get ready. That looks pretty good to me. Okay, now I'm just gonna move it. Just gonna move it, and then I'm gonna make it look like shit. I'm gonna make it look awful and terrible and no good. Or I could do this. Where's my logo? Okay, I could do this. I could make it really wide. You know what? I think that was the right thing of me to do. And I want to rename it. I want to rename it to Hunt Counter. Okay. And now I click the capture card button. And there it is. Okay. Let's see. One encounter is usually like 10 minutes. I'll go until like 9, roughly. Let's see. Yeah, I really gotta go with Mudsdale. I don't really have a choice. I'm really glad I got all that stuff about the true Undertale timeline off my chest today. That's really been weighing down on me these past, like, 5 years. No, I've been the last great Undertale historian for longer than that. What? When did that when did that transfer? That was like... Was that 2018? I know I have the day that it happened written down somewhere. Was it in here? Sand Tomb, easy. Or, I mean Max Quake. Oh, look at all those little Gangnam Style dances in the look at all that Gangnam Style. Was it 2019? I think it was 2019. But I don't remember that being maybe it was 2017? Man, when I was a youngin', I was really bad at organizing my files. Maybe if I just search. Ah, here it is. 2019. 2019 was when I became the last great... Damn, it's been 6 years. I'm getting too old. What? Wait. Oh, you all switched over to... Okay. For a second, I was thinking, wait, does my chatbot actually show the multi-chat? No, but no, y'all moved. I see. Oh yeah, I'm playing a video game. As much as I despise the Dynamax Adventures music, I can't deal with layered music here. I can't deal with that. So this will have to do. So yes, please, any questions you have, those of you who haven't rewound back to the presentation, if you're in chat and you can hear me, if you can hear me right now, if you have questions about the true Undertale timeline, even if there's stuff that you think maybe should have been included but wasn't, feel free to ask. You've got probably like half an hour. What is the lore on Gaster? Okay. I talked about it briefly. Seeing as Deltarune is a part of the true Undertale timeline. And not only that, but Gaster is mentioned multiple times directly by some of his followers, but only sometimes. Only sometimes. A lot of people are theorizing that Gaster is involved in the true Undertale timeline. We have places we could point where he might have done things, but until we uncover more about Deltarune, we cannot outright confirm that that Gaster is in fact a part of the true Undertale timeline. Some of the moments in the timeline that we believe he may have been involved is, of course, the opening sequence of Deltarune. We believe he may have been involved at some point, had some influence on some current Deltarune players, such as two that come to mind are Jevil and Spamton G. Spamton. Those are two people that we believe that come up in the timeline that have had encounters with Dr. Gaster. We also believe that Monica from Undertale 2 was has had direct contact with Gaster as well. Yes, it is true. He did build the core. We have found records of an experiment that he was carrying out. But we have not had any direct encounters, and we haven't. No one that we've encountered in the true Undertale timeline has been able to give a fully coherent description of him. But from what we do know about him, he does pose some interesting scientific questions, like the negative photons, and the whole question, what if you could get darker than dark? I anticipate that what is yet to be uncovered of Deltarune is going to have some very interesting answers to those questions. It is very confusing. The true Undertale timeline is an absolute monster, and it's a difficult thing to effectively convey in as few words as I did, in as few diagrams as I did. And we've barely scratched the surface of what it entails. There's still a lot that is left to be uncovered. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of years worth of time and space that has just not been documented. Notes and wingdings in the true light. Yes, entry number 17. Yes, that is the most direct source of information we've been able to find about Gaster in the true Undertale timeline. The language that he uses in entry number 17 is extremely similar to that of the being that we encounter in the opening sequence of Deltarune, but you know, correlation does not equal causation and all that, and it's pretty. It can be reasonably inferred that the two are the same, But, you know, if you go out making claims like that without any direct evidence, like, you're able to point at the person, like, yes, this is him, yes. People are gonna be like, oh, whoa, how can you know for sure? How can you know for sure? And we just got tired of hearing about that. We just got tired of listening to all that naysaying. Okay. Dang, we got the LATIOS fast. I unfocused for like 2 minutes and all of a sudden we were here. Yeah, that is valid. Not a lot of people I've discussed the True Undertale timeline were ready for some of the stuff that was discussed today. One of our most recent findings was, which one was it specifically? Undertale 5, episode 1, I believe it was, Gravity Falls. That was a relatively new discovery. Up until then, we thought that Undertale 5, at least here in North America and Japan regions, we thought it was just Deltarune. But I guess not. I guess not. Yeah. Do you think the red soul is Chris or Frisk's or our soul? I honestly think it's our soul because we're able to move this. Yes, I do think that I don't think the soul in Undertale and Deltarune is precisely the player's soul. What I think, I saw a really interesting theory. Who was the creator? Molly Stars had a very interesting theory called the device theory. And at least in our research for the True Undertale timeline, it's the one that best fits the phenomenon that we've observed. That instead of like the soul being actually a soul, it's more so a device that is used to bridge the connection between the player and the world. Yeah, Gravity Falls, great show. For a while, I was really hoping that Gravity Falls would crop up somewhere in the timeline, and I'm a little disappointed at how long it took for us to find it, but I'm very happy that it's made it into the timeline. We're probably going to have to do some additional research because I believe some of Bill Cipher's activities can also be tied to the damaged code that, as I discussed earlier, was resulted from the death of Solaris, was piloted by Flowey, used and given up by Monica, used very heavily by Sachiko Shinohara. We just don't quite know where that would fit yet. Opening sequence of Deltarune is weird, but it makes sense. Funny thing is, you play as Chris, and on the character creation, you can create Chris. And perhaps, later on, the two will be able to meet. Yes, Bill Cipher is canon to the True Undertale timeline. Who knew that what Toby Fox made would go as deep as this? I'm not even sure if Toby Fox knew the greater machinations that were happening around Undertale in the True Undertale timeline. Okay. Man, I've been shiny hunting in Sword and Shield for a while now, and this is the longest it's taken to reach a shiny so far. I thought this was going to be a bit more serious. You can only get so serious when talking about the True Undertale timeline. You have to suspend a certain amount of disbelief to engage with the true Undertale timeline. There's some really silly stuff that happens. Like Earthbound. Earthbound was really silly. Apart from some moments. Even separated from the timeline, it's crazy to me that at least what I believe, that Undertale as a game was made out of necessity for Toby to learn the skills that he needed to make the game that he really wanted to make, which was Deltarune, which is Deltarune. And that a game that was from a practical standpoint, excuse me, is practically a practice run, turned out to be such a monumental piece of indie gaming history. What do you think will be the final battle of Deltarune? Us, the player, using the vessel against the Delta Warriors, or the Delta Warriors against a roaring Titan? I don't think fighting the Titans is going to be the last encounter of Deltarune. Epic Gamer prediction. I don't think it's going to be the Titans. I have a feeling that the Titans are going to come into play in chapters 5 or 6, and that the remaining chapters afterwards, after they're defeated, is going to be spent cleaning up that mess and then banishing the player. Yeah, I think it's going to be us against the Delta Warriors. I agree. Yeah, chapters 3 and 4 coming up soon. Deltarune tomorrow. Wait, checks watch. Oh, Deltarune in like under a month. I mean, Deltarune tomorrow. Definitely tomorrow. Check Steam tomorrow. Deltarune's gonna be there. Oh yeah, I was playing a video game. In either case, I really hope one of the final battles of Deltarune is going to show a fully realized official arrangement from Toby of Penumbra Phantasm. It's what even the unfinished piece that he published as a part of Homestuck, well, published but was included with Homestuck, I love it. It's one of my favorite pieces of Toby's music. We're getting banished? How? My stats are all they're all the number 6, and it's 6 digits. How could this be possible? The unmatchable power of the meta narrative at large. Why didn't I think of that? Am I gonna get the Switch 2 at some point? Objectively, I think it's a really impressive piece of hardware. There's going to be some really good and fun experiences that people can have with it at even like in the launch window, that sort of window of when the day it comes out up until the holiday season. I think there's going to be some really good games to get there that that I think are gonna really be system sellers, and some of them borderline must plays. The thing is, for me personally, though, none of those games are especially motivating to me to get it at launch. And again, me personally, I am not a huge fan of the color scheme for the launch model. So what I think I'm going to do, I think I'm going to hold out to see if there are any future like package releases like we've gotten for like the original Switch and the Wii U, stuff like a Pokemon Special Edition or something like that. Something that isn't that gray with that shade of blue and red. Undertale, Delta. We also have Nut Dealer. Nut Dealer. Nut Dealer. I didn't think I would have to think about that this year. Switch 2 is overpriced. To this day, I'm still not sure how I feel about the Switch 2 pricing. I think it would have been really nice to live in a $70 MSRP for AAA games world just at least a little longer. I mean, Nut Dealer is an anagram of Undertale. That's going to be the trading card game that comes out in like 2038. The Switch 2. In terms of actual purchasing power, the MSRP for the Switch 2 is not that bad compared to other releases in the past, especially the further back you go, especially considering what the hardware can do. I don't think it's quite as an egregious of an ask as the original price point of the 3DS was for what that system was at launch. Definitely get a lot more killer apps at launch than the 3DS had. But yeah, world's tough, economy's tough. $450 or $500 for the Mario Kart but is a lot to ask for a new platform. I wish I could remember if there was that big of a stink about the launch pricing for the PS5 and the Xbox Series launch release. I just can't remember. Well, couldn't really buy either of those at launch, but I think this is a Nintendo launch situation like we've never quite had before, and I'm not quite sure how to feel about it. I think after a year or two and a lot more really good games get released for it, I think the price tag is going to be more and more easy to convince people of. But $80 for a game, that, on the one hand, I very much want people who make games and studios that make games to be able to support themselves making games. It's also important to consider these are multi-million and sometimes multi-billion-dollar corporations. And they found ways to be able to release games at $70 or $60 or even $50 before and make that somewhat tenable. And while also at the same time, $80 is a lot to ask a consumer for, especially for a medium that is so big and expansive and so much about the experience can go wrong as a game. So I'm not as broken up about it as a lot of people I know are, but then again, I don't think I was especially keen on getting it at launch anyway. I think that sums up my thoughts about the Switch 2 pricing situation. I think that sums it up pretty well. Fun fact, the person who made the very first oh yeah, I remember Undertale Red. I remember that fan. That was such a good fan game. Good for them. They made it onto the team for Chapter 2. Okay. The thing about my approach for the Dynamax Adventures, in order to maximize the amount of rolls that I'm getting going directly to Latios, I'm not keeping or catching anything. Otherwise, those rolls get split up into the other Pokemon that you catch. And I've had it happen multiple times where my shiny roll doesn't get on the legendary, and I've just had to keep going. I think I spent like 3 or 4 or 5 months working on like Necrozma and Zygarde because of that. Switch 2 price is pretty fair considering the price of the Switch and how much. Yes, I think if you look at it just on its own as being a Nintendo release, it's a lot easier to view it as being horribly overpriced. If you compare it to other products that not only them but their competitors are putting out, I think definitely at the base, at its base model, it's going to outperform the Steam Deck in terms of at least in terms of power, even probably the OLED too, the Steam Deck OLED. And at that, not that much more of a price point. There are even some SKUs for the Steam Deck that are way more than the Switch 2, and I don't remember there being nearly as much of a stink about that. I think in terms of raw performance, not even raw performance per dollar, but raw performance period, the Switch 2 is probably going to be one of the best performing handhelds out there, especially so in terms of price performance per dollar. But yeah, $450, it's a lot to ask. It's a not insignificant amount of money, especially considering the economic pressures that a lot of people are experiencing today. Do we win this? I don't know if we win this. If it doesn't tunnel, if the Latios doesn't tunnel into me with Aura Sphere, I think we're in a good spot. Okay, it's a good thing I didn't waste my time with Shift Gear. Ooh, this is a really good question. Where does the hit RPG Maker horror game Ao Oni fall in the Undertale timeline? Well, I feel like it definitely goes in the timeline somewhere. I feel like there are a lot of RPG Maker made or RPG Maker reminiscent style games in the true Undertale timeline for Ao Oni to not be included too. I think it's a matter of where exact. Well, yeah, that was the question, Steve. Where does it? As of right now, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where Ao Oni falls. But based on what I know about Ao Oni, it takes place in an old house. It's a collection of roughly contemporary, I think it's high school students. I feel like it definitely takes place after Corpse Party. You know what? I think it's one of the many things that takes place in that at least few thousand years between Gravity Falls and Deltarune and Minecraft. I think it takes place somewhere in that part of the timeline. Wasn't expecting you to be talking about Ao Oni when I popped in just to say. I wasn't expecting to be talking about Ao Oni today either, but it's a very pleasant surprise. No, I'm just doing a few, what are they called? Dynamax Adventures, hunting for a shiny Latios while gauging answering questions about the true Undertale timeline. People watching on YouTube, you can rewind the stream. You might be able to do that on Twitch too. I don't know. I've never explored that functionality. But yeah, today we've talked about the true Undertale timeline. Later on, I'm going to take this stream and I'm going to make a video about it so I can have a definitive, this is the true Undertale timeline. This is the video. If people ask me about it, I'm going to send them this video. It's going to be great. It's going to be good. And it's probably going to come out by the end of next year. Okay, got the Latios. Is it a shiny? Please, 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 please. Ah! It's okay. It's okay. We'll just do it again. We'll just do it. We'll fucking do it again. God, we'll do it again. Do it again. Oh yeah, I have to click this. What are the consequences of the Nostalgia Critic on the overall Undertale universe? That's an interesting question because I don't know if you've seen that part yet, but Doug Walker is canon to the true Undertale timeline. He is. Now, in terms of the grand scheme of things at play in the true Undertale timeline, at least based on our findings so far, Doug Walker doesn't do a whole lot. But he has an absurd number of vacation homes registered under his name, and at least one of these vacation homes has a freezer system filled with both famous and infamous members of historical figures. One of which is a German war criminal, and another of which is Walt Disney. The former invented canned bread in 1998. Actually planning on finishing Deltarune like really soon. Like I'm playing Great God Grove, and if I can't figure out this puzzle, I'm booting up Undertale and finishing. What? Hello? 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 Well, the good news is I only spoiled a little bit of Undertale in today's presentation. I only spoiled a few things about it. There's still a lot about the game that I didn't talk about. What the freak? Scratch his head with finger? Oh, look, I actually did it. What the freak? Why is there like a giant rabbit and a giant turtle and a dog and a person in an Eevee costume? Why is all this in a video game? What the freak? I've started getting clips of another streamer who does a lot of like meme vocal stems, like bits, like brief little like they'll say like brief little clips from like Sonic Adventure or like Gex or like SpongeBob, and they'll keep flowing those into quick succession, and I need to start adopting that because I feel like it would both be very interesting and very dangerous to let my mind wander like that. I would be stringing together things like snooping as usual, I see, and like I wonder what's for usual, stuff like that, you know? It would be like YouTube poop, but it would be coming out of my mouth, so it would be like, no, Steve, you can't say better or else they will come for you. Is this Dreadnought canon to the Undertale timeline? Well, that's another interesting question. If the Dreadnought is canon, I think by association, the events of at least the Pokemon Sword Crown Tundra DLC would have to be canon too, and then I think a bunch of other things would have to be canon based off of that, and it would be a gargantuan cascading thing So for the time being, I'm going to say no. That Dreadnought is not canon to the true Undertale timeline. I know there are some things that we have looked into and that we have determined are definitely not parts of the true Undertale are not canon to the true Undertale timeline. One of them is definitely Doctor Who. Doctor Who is not canon to the true Undertale timeline. There are just too many contradictions of events that happen in Doctor Who to previously established events to the true Undertale timeline. I think similarly, One Piece we have deemed not canon to the true Undertale timeline for similar reasons. Not quite at the same scale as Doctor Who, but yeah, there were a few things that just didn't line up between the events of One Piece and the events of the true Undertale timeline. I personally think that if some powerful players like the ones we see in One Piece, like especially Gear 5 Luffy, if they were at play in the true Undertale timeline, things would have definitely gone a little differently. Especially since I'm pretty sure that the events of One Piece take place on Earth. I am telling you that the One Piece, at least in regards to the true Undertale timeline, is not real. Please stop booing. Please stop. I tried, okay? I really tried, but it just doesn't work. And then in the video I'll cut it off in the middle, and then I'll put in like actual boos instead of the boos that you were shouting at your screen, that you'd be able to hear them with your ears, and it'll be great. This is gonna be a fun video to work on. Let's see, were there any other things? Currently, I'm on the fence about whether the Vince Gilligan verse is canon to the true Undertale timeline. Because if it is, that would be stacking up a lot of stuff around the Undertale 0 mark. Because the events of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul and El Camino, they sort of spread out a lot over the early 2000s to the early 2010s. So probably Corpse Party would be breaking some of that up. That, and if we brought in the Vince Gilligan verse, we would also have to bring in the events of the entire High School Musical saga. Because those two things definitely happened at the same time. Both of those happened in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and both of them happened in the mid to late 2000s. That reminds me, someone has to go back in time and warn the High School Musical high school that really bad things are about to start happening in Albuquerque. We have to make sure that they are okay and safe. I think this is going to be the last run I do before I end stream. Hopefully this will be the shiny, but it probably won't be. What a beautiful day in Undertale. I mean, in Pokemon Sword. This is not canon to the true Undertale timeline. It's not. After stream, I will write that on a whiteboard, on a chalkboard 100 billion times. And then when I'm done, I will sit back down and start streaming again. It will take a while, though. I don't know if you've ever written something on a chalkboard 100 billion times, but
Let's just say it freaking takes a while. How powerful is Weird Al Yankovic as of the most recent Undertale installment? We have not yet found signs of Weird Al Yankovic in the true Undertale timeline. Hasn't happened yet. Nor any of his variants, I think. I do know he has a few multiversal variants. But that's a discussion for another day in the far future. One of them is definitely in Back to the Barnyard. Wait, damn it! Back in the Barnyard is canon to real life, because the real Weird Al Yankovic is in there. God damn it! God damn it! I can't believe we live in a world where a farmer said, "There's a cow farm. There's gonna be cows outside." I can't believe that that's a real thing that happened in real life. Dude, just get a long stick and a bunch of chalk. They taught you how to beat this puzzle in the Captain Underpants side quest. Well, unfortunately, I was not an avid reader of Captain Underpants. I was more of a Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I was more Diary of a Wimpy Kid and like 39 Clues and Magic Treehouse and a little bit of a series of unfortunate events. I think I stopped reading that after book like 4 or 5. Because I started feeling sort of the same. Either my tastes were changing or they just felt like all sort of the same after book 4 or 5. That's probably also why I fell off of Diary of a Wimpy Kid after book like 5 or 6. Is Jeff Kinney still writing those? Is he still writing those and releasing them, or did he finally sit down and say enough was enough? I have enough money. Greg's story can finally end. Chat, I'm relying on you to relay an answer to that question to me, because I do not know how to figure out information for myself. I have a magic rectangle that like teleports to the sum of all human knowledge, but I have not the means to use it. I don't have fingers. Yearly? Not only is he still pumping those out, but he's doing it every year? Chat, I don't know about the rest of you, but I think after like almost 20 years of building on the same story over and over, I would get tired of it. I don't feel like a character like Greg Heffley has enough that he can do for there to be like 20 books of his life as a middle schooler. Ah, damn it. Well, that was the last reset of the stream. That was it. So no shiny today. But you know what? That's okay, because we did a lot of learning today. We learned about the true Undertale timeline. Chat, I hope you enjoyed today's stream. I think I'm gonna quit kidding myself that I can do like a weekly schedule, and I think instead it's gonna happen when it's gonna happen. I'm gonna try to put one out monthly. And if you want to stay tuned about that, you can check out my Twitter. There's links somewhere. It might be somewhere. If you're on YouTube, it might be somewhere in like the links in my channel. If you like go to my channel and you look for the links and like or if you're in Twitch chat, if you look down there at one of the panels, you could probably look there. Where else? If you're on YouTube, maybe I'll start using the community tab more often to announce streams. That might be a good idea. One last question. Are the recent Peter Griffin and Deltarune leaks true? I hope not. Because the ramifications of an entity like Peter Griffin being canon to the true Undertale timeline, I don't want to think about that. I don't want to live in a world where a being like Peter Griffin can just be in the true God, it would be absolute it would be absolute mayhem. Huh. Do you ever just like start thinking about something and it just sort of ruins your day? That just happened to me right now. So I think I'm gonna go, and I think I'm gonna process what the possibility that just emerged in my head. Yeah, but thank you all so much for tuning in. Check out more of this stuff I make if you enjoyed. You'll hear from me before the next stream somewhere, but you have to go find it. You have to go find it. But for now, that's all. You all have your my camera's awful shaky. Well, that's because I keep doing this. I keep tapping, and I keep hitting my table because my camera's mounted to my table. And if I do that actually didn't do it as bad. Food for thought. But I'm gonna go before I start talking more, and then before I know it, it's like 3 hours later, and yes.